Okay, I've had a few questions after I posted the video about my soundboard and studio the other night. So I'm just going to answer a few of the things kind of briefly, which is hard for me because I like to talk. Um, Basically why I got into the studio thing. I've always written original songs, been doing that for, oh man, gotta be 25 years. And I always tried to get people involved in the writing material, but there was just no interest locally. It didn't matter what I created and gave to people, they didn't want to do it. And the hard thing for me was being a drummer first, and very limited to all these other instruments like guitar and bass and stuff at the time. So I couldn't get people involved. I wanted better players on the stuff to hear what they could do, but they were unfortunately locked into the cover material thing, which I've done and love it, but it's not my main goal at all. So anyways, I just locked myself in the basement, bought some reel-to-reels, bought a couple of old ones, old Akai's, one off an old radio station, CFYN, that used to be local here, from a friend of mine, Brian, and started recording, and I loved it. Switched over to beta and VHS recorders, and I just got used to the technology. At the same time, I continued to write, and I continued to learn other instruments. So I got to the point later on, after years, that it's like, I could get through songs, my own songs, within reasons that I was happy with the results, and if someone along the way wanted to do help out along the way and add some parts, that's great. So I've found a few people. My guitar player Tony and my band Flat Stanley, him and I are on the same page. Been like that for almost 10 years. He just loves to write, create, and record. Very talented musician, and we just click. It took me 30 years to find somebody like that. So anyways, that's what we do. As for the recording studio itself, I just learned on my own. YouTube has a lot of videos on learning the process of recording, also equipment. Unfortunately, there's so much thrown at you, and negativity and positive things on the hardware that you need to do recording. You know what? I started off really simple and got half decent results. In fact, I used to record my drums onto reel-to-reel, 2-track. I'd mic the whole drum set, say 5-6 mics. I ran them into a mixer, left and right into the reel-to-reel. I got really good results. You don't need this massive stuff that I have, and you don't need tons and tons of effects, and you don't need all that stuff. If you're just writing for yourself and you're putting out a CD that you sell off stage, you can do it with minimal gear. If you want to make it famous, then you got a long way to go, because you got to learn your instrument, then you got to learn the songs, then you got to learn the gear, and you got to try and buy all the gear, and it just gets retarded for what you can spend. You just got to know your limitations on it. For me, I just started basic and added, like just recently added this big soundboard, this Mackie, and it's used. It's from a studio in California. Bought it. They were going full digital, so it's perfect for me. But I could have lived with the small 16 channel that I was using for years. Anyways, as for software, I always loved recording on reel-to-reel tape, but the digital age makes it easier to edit. I don't think the sound is better. I always liked the sound of tape, but it also makes you a better musician playing on tape, because you can't punch in and edit like you can on digital. So you have to know your songs from beginning to end. There are bands like, I think it's Iron Maiden, that still record full band, and that's what I've done with my studio. I wanted it to be that I could record the entire band at one time. and everything go on its own tracks, and you can edit a little bit. That's the fun of it. Somebody asked me about all the multi-tracking. I says, well, for me, the multi-tracking, because I'm, say in most cases, I'm writing my own material, so I'm playing guitar, bass, keys, and some vocals, and definitely drums. I don't have someone else to play with. It's basically, I put a ghost track down with the guitar to a click track. You got to learn to play with a click, because you're just not going to make it in this digital recording thing if you can't play with a click. But anyways, so I layer the tracks. I do the ghost track of the song idea, and I put the drums down or bass down next, and go from there till it starts sounding pretty good. By no means are my songs perfect, and I'm not striving for them to be perfect. The whole idea is the songwriting. The recording is an extra for me. It's not something that I want to master, because I would give up music and do that. But this stage of the game, I love doing everything. But I basically want to write material and hopefully find a market for it. My goal, and that's my guitar player in my band Flat Stanley's goal, to write material that can be used in independent movies, films, you know, shorts, things like that. And I have no, you know, goal of getting rich doing it. I just want to see if my music gets out there. And that's basically it. Another question about the studio was if I was going to record other people. Right now the studio is set up for myself and my band Flat Stanley. My basement is fairly small. It's two sides. Most of the video I've shown is the 1/4 of it. The other half of the basement is drum related and bass related. It's a lower ceiling, it's a split level. So I get interesting sounds from that side of the basement. But since I'm changing over the gear, I have to purchase a snake, which is basically contained mic cables in one single cable. So you don't have 16, you know, cables running all over the floor. It's like it's all in one. So I want one of those to actually mic the kit on the other side of the basement. So right now it's strictly for me. I've had tons and tons of people asking about this, and I can mix other bands and record them. Just the space I have right now doesn't allow for it, and honestly my interest in doing that for other bands at this point in time is just not there. I don't want a recording studio where I have to take away from my own material and it becomes a job. I may record some. I'm not saying I never will, but just with the size of the area where I am, it's not going to happen. I do have a huge garage, and I am contemplating turning that into a studio at some point, but whether I do it for other people, that's still unknown for me. So another question is about basically how you're mixing and that. Well, the funny thing is, most of the material I put online is not even mixed. I just basically put it raw up there. And the only reason why I do that is because it's free. You're getting something free. If you want anything mixed and finished, you're going to have to pay. I have to make a little money on this somehow. And most of the songs, if I was to sell them, are like 40 cents, 50 cents. So that's not a big pinch. But as for the mixing process, I've mixed a lot of my own stuff. I am not happy with what I've mastered and mixed, or mixed and mastered. Those are two different things. It's a learning curve. That's why you see famous recording studios basically do the mixing and recording, but they send away to get mastered. Mastering is an art form in itself, but I want to learn it all for my own stuff. Mastering software that I use is T-Rax, very expensive software. Fun, very fun software. Mastering software is basically the final product, making it ready for radio and basically airplay and stuff. I have not mastered that, no pun intended, but it's fun learning it. But I'm not quite happy with the results yet, but I'm getting there. It's all about experimentation, and the more songs I write, the more I experiment, the sounds will eventually come. I am not into the drum sound of today. I absolutely hate it. Drums don't sound like that. They're compressed. They sound like, some people like that rocket launcher exploding thing. That's just not drums. I'm sorry. I come from a jazz background. Everybody thinks I'm a metal drummer. I've played a lot of it, but I always loved the sound of jazz drums from way back in the 40s and 50s, definitely the 50s. I really love the drum sound, and getting into the 60s. Now there are modern drummers out today like Dave Weckl, Vinnie Colaiuta, who have beautiful drum sound, and they don't abuse technology. My whole thing with recording is I want clarity. I want to hear everything. I've recorded numerous albums here in the Sioux and a few out of the Sioux, individual projects, and I'll be honest, some of these guys have no clue on drums. If I have to bring my recording home, say I record a CD, and I know two of which I've done in the last few years, and I can't hear what I've played,